The bleeding sky and the boiling earth, the call from my dad I left to go to nothing but a missed notification. All of my Maori and Pākehā friends with knives in the backyard, killing rats and hedgehogs to save a treasure we call birds. I come from a place long isolated from the rest of the world, where Manu once flew free from predators.
I come from the place of galahs. At the crevice of three nations, a red gum sits by a riverbed under the glow of a kookaburra dawn. Pink as Aphrodite's pearl, sharp as her spear, I hurtle into a past post-apocalyptic. A great-great-grandfather taken from among a massacre, tracking his way across land in hope of finding something. Peace, maybe, or some semblance of it. At Easter, I'd travel to my uncle's pig farm where he'd hand me a piglet and tell me she'll be ripe enough to eat by my birthday. I carried her everywhere, every day, even when my tiny arms ached under her weight. Then I travel back from country to coast to the other half of myself that prefers salt water over fresh, where the gut-wrenching sound of grief feeds generations.
The fight between thinking mammals are cute and wanting them dead, my namesake being one of the Americans responsible for the mothers and calves gone extinct, all singing their long songs in the sea, in the great grey body of the night, becoming corpses. Manu and Ika, or Tane and Hinimoana, are my ancestors looking on, or are their eyes holes filled with cement chunks? They can't scramble back to the northernmost tip, too weighed down by what continues to go on to their youngest kin. But I want a taiaha for Christmas, a kokowai for my birthday, one to fight with and the other to die. Bury me and they'll know my wahinetanga by the stones on my fingers and the mark on my chin. You don't need no eyes to feel what is there.
What's there inside your sandstone blocks? You classify my genealogy inside a petri dish, the measurements of my great-grandmother's skull inside a dusty blue book, her skeleton locked inside your glass closet. She begs you return her to country. She just wants to rest. She is so, so tired. You open the doors at 9 a.m. I pay the entry fee.
There is one side of my ancestral mountain that is free to climb, and I've winded myself uphill often enough trying to monitor the rats that have snuck through pest-proof fences. Cost $26 to visit one of my oldest ancestors on their best side, the Tane side or the Wahine side, and upwards of $300 to hang out with them and a dozen Pākehā tourists at night. I hope the money goes where it is needed, but I'm a cast-off seed of Maungatautari, so what do I care? Asking questions like, can I come back here? Can I come back here and call this home?
I learned every name for shark in my grandfather's language. Denani, the ancestor I meet far from home, at the bend of the Maiwa where mangroves once grew. Wobigung, who watches me slink into rivers and nestle inside his shaggy beard. In dreaming, Giuan and I swim along coast, watch Gans till the rudder of a wealthy man's yacht. We know the currents that run up this coast, know where the water once touched this place and mine. We swim until we reach home again. I haven't been back here since time before, maybe longer. Jurugul sees me arrive as dusk swallows the land. They snatch me by my ankles, drag me back to a place that feels more like home than home does. Or maybe I've mistaken familiarity with comfort again. Is it foolish to pursue an origin story when you begin and end in creation, when creation is a type of metaphor? A shark being pulled back, then sinking in the deep, her pup resting in the shallows.
When the metaphor is a big fish, did it ever start off small? The land moving like a great beast out of the sea. But I've seen the hook and being close enough to the mouth to risk being swallowed whole, or was I praying to be swallowed whole, living out my entire natural lifespan on a long journey to the gut, or just staying at home in my cold flat where the baby got sick more than it didn't, and I never went out because I didn't have any money to spend on a life. My brand of poetry is packed suitcase ready to leave, rattling metal bed frame, depression.
My brand of poetry is fishmongering, selling you the finest cuts of whales as metaphor, filleting you an allegory. Did you hear about the big fish revolution? We're diving deeper into the ocean now, further than the Hadal Zone, where a slew of marine creatures hungrily lurk, giant sharp-toothed matryoshka dolls. Go deeper still through water and thirst, back to when this all began, so the orcas can sink your boats too. Back to when sovereignty had no name, it just was, where country spoke for itself. Hansen getting stuck on sacred rocks, rivers swallowing those who built their lives on the floodplain, emus rising up to fight on the frontier. The animals here might kill you, but what did you do to provoke them?
Moana just taking matters into their own hands, capsizing capitalists, dragging rich pricks' mansions off the edges of cliffs, the double spiral meeting the sea. Maori tradition says fish, Greek tradition says mammal. Which side of history do you want to be on? Which side am I on? Thinking back through the men of my line, from my absent matua to his abusive one, a family cleaved to gristle over land claims. I'm still asking the question, why did we leave our maunga in the first place? And why did I fight so hard to change my name to that of a whale killer?
A broken shard on stolen land, slice your finger on my 234 years of bad luck. I am a foil for the white gaze, white glazed over eyes, sitting by the Maiwa, a white Jesus. West Ender tells me about his wattle seed infused lemon myrtle iced coffee. So I buy a cappuccino with cow's milk, even though I'm lactose intolerant. Is this decolonizing my bussy, or doing exactly what the colony expects of me? Sitting by the Maiwa, I think of all the water within me, the winding path of the Wamble that also cuts towns in two, the banks of Awabakal where I first learned to swim, the bar that crosses ancient treaty lines. When I catch my reflection, can I stomach what's looking back?
Recently, my puka started revolting anytime I overeat. It forces whatever excess back up, leaves me with a nice watery eye look, which I admire in our floor-length mirror my partner and I bought to pretend neither of us have body issues. Look at how the dress swishes. How could I possibly be sit in such hot red?
My mirrors are covered in silk scarves my friends brought back from their trips across Asia. My favorite has a woman dripping in blood sat between two egrets, an embodiment of my sun sign. She is equilibrium. I am caught between two realities, a powerful and bloodied woman, a bodiless creature not to be perceived.
I live in a place that only has roads to the sea, I was born in a place that only has roads to the sea, the same place that has a river run through it, has a river cut a city in two, or a city that decided a binary was the best way to organize us. Which side of the river do you want to live on? Turangamoana or Whaingaroa are places next to the sea. One I grew up in, the other I once pretended to for a collaborative poetry zine about raglan. I remember a photo of hot chips at the wharf of Toi Toi, pulling the fluff to airborne spread, burning feet in the black sand, rushing into foamy waves of make-believe. They want to be krill and inhaled wholly, so the helplessness can stop, so the drumming in the ears can stop.
I woke up today not wanting to die, but not wanting to be here either. A type of Weltschmerz where the world is me and an empty bucket of KFC are likely throw back up. Four walls draw slowly in like that trash compactor scene in Star Wars, only I never call for help. Anxiety leaves me the tighter the squeeze. Growing up, I would only cry in the polluted lake I lived by. I found comfort in the push and pull of the water wrapping itself around me, salt water streaming from me into the currents that led to the ocean, salt water dreaming I wouldn't have to return home, where I was both too much and not enough, as if I wasn't already aware I'm a huge pill to swallow.
Have I taken my pills? Quarter the tea blockers with shaking fingers. Have I taken them, or was that yesterday? Stumbling over the pages of a calendar. Do I need to go to the pharmacy today? A 2-minute walk, but leaving the house can be so difficult. Such small decisions ramping up to that big, dramatic to be or not to be that Hamlet didn't even earn. Subversive painting of Ophelia as trans woman, as Maori trans woman drowning in the Waikato. Subversive because she's going under. Get it?
A woman is beautiful only if she is young and dead. A corpse floating in an abyss. Is this fear and loathing in Elizabethan England? Maybe beauty standards aren't so hard to achieve. I sit on the other side of the house planning my breakup with a boy who said he wanted to marry me. My heart too sour to enjoy a moment of sweet. But here the hero doesn't save herself. She's too pretty, too dead.
I sat on the other side of the ocean to my hua Takatapu. He grew up in a city of angels on the back of a gigantic turtle, gathered shrapnel of all kinds and ancestral bones. My bitter heart has fallen across a great expanse, wanting to travel back in time and save everyone I love from the traumas that still live in their bodies. It's enough to make you want to stop death entirely, like in that one Batman comic where it all goes wrong, the corpses piling up into life. But at least you don't have to unfriend them on Facebook because they overdosed one night and aren't coming back, and avoiding the funeral because her brother only knew her as a man. He. It's enough to make you laugh until you're crying and pissing down the stream.
My forever mood is horny sad. Chasing any hit of dopamine, I am deadly in every sense of the word, especially to myself. Venus, married to forge and fire, wanting to burn hotter still, burn until her magma oceans boil, until she becomes uninhabitable. Unlike Frank O'Hara, I prefer art over real life men. Give me a Botticelli and I will get myself to orgasm just so I can cry after. Give me some of that oxytocin, maybe then I'll pause love like a familiar tongue. I cannot understand joy without a little pain, or a lot, maybe a sprinkle on my cornflakes as a treat.
Just coming into the toilet bowl, writing hormones that fluctuate in amount but not enough to disappear. Whatever it is that comes out, is everyone else coming out to their families at the same time in the same way? It's always so so fucking repetitious. My uncle staring at me all Christmas Day and not saying a word because the boy he thought he knew I had taken out the back and shot in the head. Or maybe he couldn't control his thoughts, seeing me in a dress, always commenting on the ways I would learn to appreciate my cousins' bodies. But the joke's on him. My first sexual experience was with my brother, and it fucking sucked. But I'm still way into people touching my ass. I want my love across the sea to fly back to me and finger my prostate. All nails can be lesbian nails if you try hard enough. And once I'm done, she can leave me with a whakatoki I don't understand, or whole beautiful sentences in a language my ancestors had beaten out of them and I have not regained.
I emphasize the first syllable, twist my tongue around a pointed vowel my grandmother would have spoken centuries ago. The words taste as foreign as her touch, feel as empty as my father's gaze, our eyes echoing the sunlight that filters through the tree line, hints of gold in earthy brown. I wonder how I'll communicate with my ancestors when I follow them into the dreaming. I wonder if my dictionaries will survive the trip. I stutter in my native languages just as much as I stutter in English. I hear my speech therapists tell me to speak slower, speak in a wispy voice that makes me sound sweet and demure. But I haven't been either since before I could talk. If I had a coin for every time a boomer asked if I'd seen the King's Speech, I'd have enough money to buy my land back. As if a movie is enough to make me fluent. As if every millennial with daddy issues doesn't have Colin Firth's entire fucking filmography memorized.
I want to scream at my father for making shit difficult. But the gaps he left in my life are maybe holes made for me to fill with something worth fighting for. Like when I put the popcorn in our too small microwave and I managed to avoid burning even one kernel. Hell fucking yeah. I repeat until I fall asleep. Hell fucking yeah. Hell fucking yeah. Hell.
It's all fun and games until the group chat goes quiet and you're left alone in the darkest expanse of your living room, having forgotten what living actually looks like. One hand hovering over the blue light hellscape, anticipating a notification you're never going to receive. The other down your top, cupping your left hip, pretending it's the warm embrace of the lover you forgot to call back for the third time this week. It'll be funny in the morning when dawn bathes regret in a pink yellow glow and you're made to exist as other adults do in the liminal space between two breaths. It'll be funny in the morning when you remember what laughter tastes like, pop rocks against the roof of your mouth, an ice cube melting on her scarlet tongue. It'll be funny in the morning when you roll into the cold space beside yourself, half awake, one hand still fondling a breast.
An absent finger, checking to see how much they've grown. These itty bitties, estrogen is stored in the balls. And in the patch at my side, my partner laughs at me going through puberty 2.0 at the age of fucking 30. I'm later than most and far earlier than others. Think of one of my closest friends, Koro or Kui, could only start wearing dresses when their wife died. I used to be so scared that everyone I loved would leave me as I grew into my sweet Baphomet transition goals, broad shoulders and tits of a devil. Where do I get the horns, the wings, the hooves from? Black Phillip asking in his most satanic voice, would thou like to live deliciously? How delicious do I think my life deserves to be? How delicious can we make it in this space in between boiling sky and bleeding earth? Two bodies that miss fucking each other so much. They are responsible for everything.